So essentially today's topic is about Webhook. Here we are with our n8n. So whenever we get into n8n over here, there are plenty of triggers available on the site. Now, one of the trigger type is called Webhook call, right? Now, what it says, even if you just read it out here, it says run the flow on receiving an HTTP request, right? That means we are getting HTTP or an API call which someone else would have sent towards our server, towards our automation workflow. In case if someone doesn't know what is HTTP or what is the API call, for example, if you have to interact with any system through backend or through, let's say, the behind the scene kind of a thing, not UI, there is something called API, right? So in case of API calls, we have HTTP request module over here, and I can trigger any API call. Just put things over here. Let's say, what is the method? Do I want to get something from the system? Do I want to post or create some new things inside my given software database, or do I want to update something? Maybe doing some sort of delete. So these kind of options are already available over there to operate that particular database or that particular software. So these are outbound call. I can define what I want to do with that particular system, define the whole URL, and then couple of authentication, maybe some more information, what has to be done, what data is flowing through, and then I can make my API call working, right? But this is an outbound thing. So whenever I trigger automation or automation works, it will run outward this particular system and will make changes towards this particular system, right? Will sending some data over there. But what if I want to get some event from any other external systems? In general, if I remove it, you get to see we have something called app-based events. For example, someone is sending us a message on WhatsApp. See there, this is called WhatsApp Business Cloud, right? Now, in this, there are multiple triggers available over here. Something is, say, like on account update, or maybe on message received, on template status update. So if these things are happening, the n8n workflow is going to trigger as soon as someone sends us a message, right? So it is one API call being sent from WhatsApp towards this n8n automation workflow. And obviously n8n like is hosted kind of a server on our own environment. So this server has an endpoint similar to any API call. And the other system, be it WhatsApp, be it Facebook, be it Slack, email, or something else, is sending us an API call towards our server on n8n. And then all the remaining steps are going to be completed, right? In the similar way, now these are application driven triggers or application driven, let's say, specific trigger point, which run through the automation workflow. But what if I want to create something of my own and I want to send some data from an external application, maybe from an external vibe coded app, or maybe some sort of payment server or something like that, and scenario should trigger and do certain steps. So there is a functionality called custom webhooks, and those webhook can easily trigger my entire automation workflow, even get data from the external systems. Let me show you how this works actually. So there is something called on webhook call over here, right? And I just told you earlier as well, it says receiving HTTP request. So whenever someone is going to target any request or any sort of data towards this, it's going to trigger and run through all these steps. So let's try this particular trigger called on webhook call. Now, as soon as I do that, it's going to create a short webhook over here. This whole URL can be customized, can be put into multiple ways. So see here, there's something called path. By default, n8n gives every webhook a random path or maybe some sort of alphanumeric strings. I can define, let's say, payment received or something like this, right? So now it says n8n oneautomation.us webhook/test payment received. This is my webhook name, which I'm going to configure somewhere else. Now, what I want, this webhook is being put in over here. The method in case of n8n is always going to be a post method. Post means like we wanted to pull data, or let's say getting data from the other system, from the other application, and that's going to be processed. Now it says, when do you want to run it? Obviously, it's an instant trigger. So it's going to run as soon as any data is being pushed from any external system. Let's try this. If I say execute this workflow, I got the webhook URL. And the good thing with webhooks is I can send data, or I can trigger this webhook right from a normal browser window as well. So if I click here on a new tab, I'll say paste, hit enter, trigger is register for get. Okay, sorry, my bad actually. It's registered for get request. I'll have to change that HTTP method as get, and I'll say save, execute this one more time, and let's re-trigger it from here. If I hit enter, it says workflow has started. And what happened here? See, this got triggered right from my browser event as well. Currently, I just tried to trigger this webhook. I did not send any data alongside this, right? So see here, Webhook came, but there will be no data as such. Body is completely blank. There is nothing on the body part, right? Now, you may wonder, okay, I got the trigger point, I got a particular URL, but what is the use of this? Let me show you. For example, if you're using, I hope you all know there is a payment gateway called Razorpay or CC Avenue or maybe PayPal, Stripe, and so on. For example, Razorpay is not available as a native integration inside n8n. But whenever someone makes a payment on my Razorpay pages or maybe on some sort of a link, I want to get that information and then I want to send him a thank you message immediately as soon as they make the payment. Or maybe some sort of a digital content has to be delivered as soon as they make the payment, right? So in that case, I will need either API call, so I can keep on calling Razorpay every 1 minute and see someone made a payment, or I can configure a webhook on the Razorpay and I'll say Razorpay, whenever someone is making a payment, please send me that information on this particular webhook. The difference is, in case if I do the API calls, I have to check it every frequently, maybe every second, every minute, every hour, and so on. So I'll be wasting my resources. I'll be wasting my server capacity. But if I'm using Webhook, Razorpay knows if someone is making a payment, they have to send me that information on my hook. So without me asking, without me knowing when the person is going to make payment, it can automatically trigger and send information over here. So let's do a quick trial run on this. For example, I'll just open a Razorpay. I got an account over here. So let's log in. Perfect. This is one of the Rummy account which I got from someone, but let's have things here. So there is something called Razorpay payment pages or payment links and so on. If I first of all go to payment page, let's try to configure a quick payment page over here. Maybe it says education event page, which is having 1 rupees as a transaction value. So I'm not I think let me tell you something over here. While you're creating Razorpay payment pages, they look like this, and people can actually come and they can make payment. So they can fill their first name, email, phone number, some sort of appointment date when they want to, let's say, book this education event or something like this. They can put a price. So if I put 1 rupee as a price as the end customer, and I'll say pay. So straightforward, this all information will be captured and Razorpay will accept this money. Now, since this payment page is associated inside Razorpay and Razorpay like keep on getting all of these amounts, it's all fine. But how will I get to know someone made a payment? So as I said, we have this webhook functionality and we can configure or we can engage this particular webhook URL inside Razorpay and say whenever someone making a payment, please notify me on the particular webhook. Now, always remember whenever you're taking this webhook URL for any configuration, you should always put it not the test one, but the production URL. Right? So copy this production URL. Let's go to Razorpay dashboard. And over here, there is something called developers. So if I click on this, see here, first thing is called API and second thing is called webhooks. Like almost any other messaging system, any payment system, or maybe how would I say, like any user driven things, wherever you have users being interacting with the systems or they are driving some event over there, most of those systems generally have webhook functionality available. So you can simply configure your webhook URL, and whenever a specific event happens on that system, it gets notified to your hook, right? So in this case, I went to hooks and I'll go here. I'll say add new webhook. So let's click on this. Now it's asking me, what is your webhook URL? I can simply paste the URL which we got from there. Remember, it is not the test URL. It's supposed to be the production URL, right? Now, in this case, it's asking, do you want to put any secret? I said, no, it's all fine. And now it says, what kind of event you wanted to get notified on your webhook. So essentially, see here, there's something called payment event. So when payment is authorized, payment being failed, payment captured, dispute created, dispute won, lost, plenty of different things are available. Same way, order events are there, invoice events, account event, payment link, and so on. So now in this case, we'll go with payment events and we'll say whenever there is a payment captured, means we got the money, should be notified on our webhook, right? So it says one event selected and I simply say create a webhook. Now it's fairly straightforward. So this webhook got engaged over here and it says, see this webhook payment received. Now let me turn on the test mode and let's try to make a payment on our Razorpay payment page. Okay, this is fine. Let's go to payment pages and over here, let me create a new page altogether from scratch. So I'll say create payment page. Here it is, the payment page tab. I'll say test for webhook capture. This is one of the payment pages that we're going to create. I may say like test for webhook capture or something like this. I may say even education fair or something like this. And then I'll put a couple of information. So info here, you can book a seat and choose the date. Right? I could have added multiple images or something like, obviously you can define your entire page, whatever things you wanted to put, you can put always there. So good. So now I upload one image and here I can put multiple things. So it can be price field where I may say I want to define a fixed price of 1 rupees, email, phone number, and I also want to capture that person's name as well. So I'll say here your name, click OK, and that's done. Now this page can go live with just create and publish the page. Okay, support yes.com, somewhat number. Let's see. Done. The payment page is created. I'll copy this. Let's try to go here. It says it's only test mode. You can make any payment changes and so everything. So that's all fine. Now, all of my webhooks, whatever I'm going to trigger from here, supposed to give me an event on this particular hook. Let me even turn on my scenario and I'll say go to execution. Event should run over here. So let's go back. I'll say email is going to be manish@gs.com. Phone number is something like this. And let's try to make the payment. Okay, strange. So since it was a payment page, wait, why it's behaving like this? Okay, I'm not sure if I have to make an actual payment, but let's see. Let's see how it goes. I'll even try to make actual payment on this. So simply scanning this QR code, utter strange. Okay, guys, I think we should go with this one because test mode is not working. Great. So over here, I made this payment page and what I say, like, let me put my information over here. So I'll say, my name is Manish. My email is something like this. And even the phone number, I can select some sort of a date. Let's say 5th of November, I want to go and join these people. And 1 rupee is something I want to make payment. If I say click pay, it's supposed to take me for the payment side. See, what I'm trying to showcase you essentially is how to configure webhooks in a custom mode where you can get any sort of events from any different systems, right? So see here, I made a payment and it's all done, right? This 1 rupee payment is done. Now it says processing your payment, confirming, and it was successful, right? As soon as it does, it's supposed to send a trigger or a simple event over here on my n8n automation workflow. See this? I just got it over here. And now it's supposed to have all the information being filled in by this person. So this webhook trigger is coming up from Razorpay. Once we made this payment, it says 1 rupee payment is successful. Now, since I configured my webhook inside Razorpay, I got all these information and only upon the event where it says payment is captured, right? So this is the event which I wanted to take from Razorpay on this particular webhook, and it is instant. So I haven't done anything on there, right? Whenever someone is making a payment, it's supposed to run and capture things from here. Now it says, what is this? It's a payment part. Over here, amount is 100. Actually, it's into like paisa. So it's not applied with any sort of decimal. So it's supposed to be 1 rupees only. So we have to always divide by 100. Or in case we are taking payments in dollar, it will show you value into cent, right? So it's supposed to be divided by 100 all the time. Now it says captured is all fine, date, other stuff, all the information about this person. So I chose appointment date of 5th November, email, name, phone number, and so on. Fees is about 2% and all these things. So see here, a simple webhook configuration got me all the data of anyone making payment on my particular link or the Razorpay. And this applies across any other system. For example, you're using let's say PayPal, Stripe, or something else. Maybe if you're using WhatsApp to get messages, for any instant trigger, the behind the scene technology is always webhook, right? So webhooks are attracting events or pulling events from the other side. Now, with this data, I can play around, I can do anything. So maybe I can thank you this person, I can book that event, whatsoever I want can be done. So see here, I pinned this data and now I can play with this data. So for example, let's say I want to add this into Sheets. So I'll go here, Google Sheet, and maybe append a row in the sheet. So you never have to make API call. You don't have to wait for it. It's all automatically coming through. So let's say if I create a new spreadsheet, and I'm going to showcase a couple of really more interesting examples, but let's wait for that. So I'll say Razorpay payment log, something over here, right? In this case, I'll put person's name, their email, their phone number, amount, and date, right? Date of event or date of appointment or something like this. Whatever they chose, we can simply pick it like this. And most of time you will find these kind of use cases where people say, I want to take immediate actions or immediately process as soon as the event happens on the other system. So it's a very common requirement and webhooks are very much lifesaver in most of time. So let's go back. I'll try it. Let's go back and refresh. See here, Razorpay payment log came here. I choose a sheet, supposed to be one single sheet. That's fine. And simply I can drag drop all of the information over here. So person's name, person's email address, their phone number, the amount what they made or paid us is going to be this, and this can be divided by 100. So this becomes only 1 rupees over here, and date of appointment goes over here like this, right? Now let's click save, execute this workflow. Since I already had this data, pinned data over here, so it can run through and all information can come over here like this. See, so webhooks can help you get things into the system. That's part one. Now, a little extended concept about dates. Since we are talking this hook and I just got to see, I can quickly explain you how dates are being formatted in different ways. See, guys, one quick thing. When we captured this particular payment, you saw it has multiple, and I hope you can see my screen. So it has multiple things over here, which says output, couple of stuff, then body, all of the cross amount, payment, IDs, and everything. Just below that, if you go further down, 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 it says created at, right? And this is not a date. It doesn't say like 1st of November at maybe 1 p.m., 2 p.m., and so on. It's giving me this kind of a date format. What does it mean? See, it's not a date format. It's just a long number for me, 176198125 and so on. Now, why this date format is coming at all, or why people are first of all using this date format, or any systems using this date format, and what this called, how to convert that into a regular date format. That's also important. So this is called a Unix date format, right? How we have DD, MMYY, MDY, and so on. So it's a normal data structure. Same way, there is another extended structure that is called Unix. Now, what does it mean by Unix? So see, just try to move out of this whole n8n and everything. Just try to visualize a normal scenario of your computer edge, or how we got into this entire system, computers, internet, and all. So computers actually have a standard date of starting the computer operation from 1st of January 1970, right? So even when you try to configure a date, you can configure dates on a system level only until 1st Jan 1970, not before that. I'm not talking about database values, I'm talking about system values. So wherever you have created, updated, or those kind of system value, they can be configured only up to 1970, not beyond that or not before that. Now, what happened in normal cases? If you are processing, let's say, an email or maybe some sort of any normal regular stuff, order processing and all, you generally get to see a standard date format, which is month, date, year, or date, month, year. And then there can be hours, minute, and second, right? So you can always define any specific event happening at a particular date up to a second level. Like maybe one order is being placed every minute, right? So you can get to see, okay, at minute one, it was the order, let's say 1 p.m., 10 minute, there was order. 1 p.m., 11 minute, there was an order, and so on. Now, in some cases, this date doesn't make difference. You have your order IDs, you have your other stuff. So it doesn't make much difference like when something happened, because the transaction frequency is quite low. But there are some systems where transaction frequency is super high, or it's very fast. And in case if you wanted to filter out certain number of transactions, you may say, okay, how many orders came in last 1 hour, or maybe at a particular date, time, and second? You may find only 5 orders, 10 orders, 1 order, not more than that. But in case of banking systems, the transaction volume goes really high. Let's say, for example, one particular bank has a 10 million customer base, and all those 10 million customers are making at least 10 payments every single day. So it's become 100 million payments or transactions happening every single day throughout the entire bank. And if they have to batch or bunch all the transaction into some sort of a date range or some sort of a time range, they may not be able to do it until 1 second itself. It'll go even beyond this. And those sorting, those kind of grouping will become super complex. So what people did is, or what system builders did is, they created one more date format which count number of seconds, total number of second already spent, already gone after 1st of January 1970 midnight, right? So you see here, this is the whole value. These many seconds are 1st Jan 1970 when this transaction was done, right? So it's, I'm not sure how many million is it, like 3, 6, and 9. Almost a billion, 1 billion, 76, like 761 billion transaction seconds are already passed after 1st of Jan 1970. Let me try to show you this, and how to even make sense of out of it. Like, what is the Unix time at this point now? And I'm sure you're getting it, but let's still try this. So it says Unix converter, couple of very common tools are there. It says epoch converter over here, and let's try to hit this. See, this is the normal epochs converter, which says current Unix epoch time is this, and it is increasing with every new second coming in. See, 24, 25, 26, and so on. So it is counting 1 second every again and again and again. When we did last transaction, I think about 15 minutes back or 10 minutes back, the value at the time was, see, currently it says 17, 61, 98, 23, and 39. And if I go back to my n8n workflow over here, 98, 12, 58, right? So it's maybe a couple of 100 seconds are already gone, about 15 minutes gone. So it was 1298, currently is 2351. Approximately 1,000 seconds are already gone, about 15 minutes, right? So banks or any payment systems, they are generally using this kind of Unix timestamp to even stamp their particular date and time into their system. So any sort of filtering, any sort of sorting things, grouping things can be done really easy and straightforward way. They don't have to play with the date operations or those kind of minute, second, and millisecond kind of a thing. So this is part one of Unix, and most of the payment systems are using this format. Second version of it is something called milliseconds. So every 1 second has 1,000 milliseconds, right? So in case of some more, I would say, volume driven systems which have more frequency or larger frequency of transactions happening even under 1 second itself. Now, how to divide it? Like, for example, in 1 second, there are 5,000 transactions happening. I want to say, okay, batch me transaction only between this time to this time, or identify transaction on a particular range. So I may have to go up to a millisecond range as well. And in that case, it becomes even 3 zeros after this particular point, right? So this 27, or let's say 28, is going to become 28,000. And each of the transaction, whenever they're happening on the millisecond level, they'll be tagged with this particular date time value. Right? So this is the whole thing coming from the high volume or high transaction level systems, which wanted to capture very specific millisecond level of time and date stamp with their transaction part. So that's the concept of the Unix timestamp, and that can be simply converted back to date. So there is a formula called format date, and then based upon small x or larger x, like capital X, small x, they indicate normal Unix or up to millisecond Unix. And this date can be converted back into a normal date time, which we generally get to see, right? So this is the whole idea. Whenever you play with systems, you may encounter this kind of a thing, and you'll have to do some sort of processing to convert this back to date. Okay, so this was about Unix. Now let's get back to the webhook part. So first of all, we saw these webhooks over here, and this webhook can be configured and it can get specific data from a given system. Now, what if I wanted to give my own data to this hook, right? And that can be even sending it kind of a URL, or maybe not defining a payload, but it's a normal standard string. What I can do, let's copy this particular URL, which becomes my, how would I say, that API endpoint in some cases, and I can send my own specific payload to this particular webhook, right? Let's try this. So I'll go to, let's say, opening make.com here, another system, just trying to showcase you how webhooks can be used to even configure inside your normal application or your regular application, where you can define API call or their API structures. Okay, so here we are inside make, and I'm going to create a new scenario all together from scratch. Let me unpin data. It's all good. Click save. Let's go to execution, and we'll send an API call from our make.com automation workflow towards this webhook. So we copied our production URL, and here there's something called HTTP, right? Now I can go to HTTP. I'll say make a request. I don't have any sort of, let's say, restrictions on this particular webhook. Any data can be come in. So I said, here, my webhook URL or my endpoint. This is where I'm going to make a post call, because I'm sending some data towards this hook. In here, I can say raw data. It's supposed to be JSON, and I can define a quick JSON over here. So JSON goes like this. I'll have, let's say, name, and maybe I'll put a value like this, Manish, right? I could have, let's say, phone number, and a value can be defined like this, right? Just two values. Click save. And now if I run this particular trigger point from here, it's supposed to send the entire JSON to this particular hook. So let's try it. Let's run this once and let's see what happens. So this whole trigger is gone. This small JSON is gone. And here it's supposed to get that particular JSON thing. Perfect. See here, one new event happened, and right inside my n8n, I got the particular trigger from make, which says name and phone number, right? So any of these values can be sent from other systems, and my webhook URL works like a API for external systems, right? So this is what the Razorpay was also doing in our case. So Razorpay actually sent us a kind of API call along with this kind of JSON structure, which got delivered, and we configured for other actions, right? So essentially, webhooks on the sender side works like an API endpoint, right? And they can define their entire JSON. It can be obviously any different normal JSON structure and all. Now, one more important thing. When you're working with hooks, I shown you at the first, this webhook can be triggered, or this API endpoint can be triggered from normal browser as well. And that opens up a couple of really good use cases. So let me try this. I'll close a couple of windows from here. And if I paste it like this, see, currently it's a normal webhook URL. It doesn't have anything as an information. There is no JSON attached to it. So if I hit enter over here, it's going to send a blank, fully blank request without having anything on the receiving side or on the payload or body side. Now I just have to change to get function, save this, and let's try to run it one more time. See what happened. This would have received one more request. I'm just trying to showcase you a couple of variables or a couple of options of webhook itself. You just apply or open up your mind. See here, there is no body at all. Now, while I'm sending things to this webhook and I want to attach some sort of variables, some sort of information to it, what I can do on URL, you can put a question mark and define your parameters. So here I can say name is equal to Sandeep, right? And if I hit enter over here now, see what happens. This webhook will now carry this payload, which is called name is equal to Sandeep, right? And if I go back, this is supposed to receive over here, see this, one more transaction came. And this time, even sending a hook right from my browser got me the query parameter as name is equal to Sandeep, right? So I'm going to showcase you like next 15 minutes how we are going to utilize these webhook parameters, how we can build a small system, actual system, which is used for a specific purpose. And that will do, but a couple of fundamentals I wanted to clear before we are getting into that mode. Yes, so it was actual project that I did for an Australian client about, I think, 6 months back. And the whole business idea or requirement was there is a garment store, right, in Melbourne somewhere, and it's a larger store. So what this person wanted, he said, I'm going to provide a, how would I say, a virtual fit out service or outfit service. So whenever, let's say, I got a shirt, for example, and there is a QR code on that particular shirt, or maybe on a section of the entire store, there is a QR code over there, where if someone wanted to visit more product or maybe more variation of particular thing, they don't want to call upon someone who's representative of the store at that particular section. They can simply scan the QR code and they can even place some order online while standing into the store itself, right? So the whole idea is you are buying merchandise from the store, but at the same time, they may not have all the inventory displayed over there or all the variation and other things. He said, I'm going to display QR codes in multiple parts of the store. And I'll say, whenever someone scans this QR code, they'll land on the store online functionality, or let's say online portal. Now, he wanted to count at which particular section, how many people scanned the QR code. Let's say men's section would have men's shoes, men, let's say innerwears, men footwears, men's clothings, and something else, right? Accessories and all. Women will also have 5 different sections. And he don't want to restrict that, okay, if I'm scanning this QR code, person should land on a specific part of that online facility. No, it's going to be on the normal online facility at the same time, like the whole portal. But he wanted to count at which particular section, how many people are scanning the QR code, right? Now, how to figure out that? Because there is a QR code, there's a URL behind this, and you don't know how many people are scanning that particular QR code, right, on that particular location. So what we did is we used actually this webhook part, and this webhook made so many good things around it. Like the whole solution was visible only because of the webhook part. Otherwise, he would have done like more complex things inside the system or inside the whole infrastructure. Now, how that works? Let me try to show you something. Let's say, for example, I have this website called Growwstacks, right? And I got printed 5 different QR code, which are put in on location A, B, C, D, E, right? Now I want to see from which particular location people are accessing Growwstacks website more and more or most of the time. So in this case, what I'll do, I'll go here, and within the webhook, there is a good functionality called webhook responses. See here, there's something called response. And this response can have something called using a webhook response node as well. So for example, if you are using only the webhook as a trigger, it says whenever I'm going to hit this, it says message workflow was started. This is the standard thing which webhook are responding to me. But at the same time, I can define, can this response be changed? Can this response do multiple things for me? Not just giving this message, but I want to do something else. Thank you for your, let's say, clicking on this hook, or thank you for visiting something, or maybe redirecting me to something else. So there are a pair of two things. One is called webhook, and second is called webhook response. Do I want to myself respond to something? There is an option called yes. Yes, I can do that. So there's something called using respond to webhook node. If I click on this, it's all okay. It doesn't make any difference. But at the same time, at the closing of this, I can add a module, and here I can say webhook response or respond to particular hook which is coming in, and I want to send a specific information, not this kind of a generic thing. Workflow was started, because the other person doesn't have to do anything with the workflow as started. The person wanted to have maybe some sort of information. So I'll go with this respond to webhook. Now, as soon as I attach it, what it says, again, within this, there are a couple of configuration things. One is called, do I want to respond as the first incoming item? And I'll say, okay, thank you for your message, or thank you, or something like this. Do you want to reply with a JSON? Do you want to redirect someone to a particular direction or all, right? So these things can be done. For example, if I'll go with a normal text, I'll say text over here, and I can put some text. Hey, thanks for clicking the hook, something like this. And I'll say, let's close this. Click save, run through this, and I hit enter again. Says, hey, thanks for clicking the hook, right? So my webhook response got customized, right? In this case, it is no longer a normal standard response. At the same time, I can even send back a JSON, or I can send back some sort of redirection as well, right? So for example, if I'm sending a JSON back like this, like how we wrote a JSON over there, similar way, a JSON can be responded. Obviously not on the browser side. I'll show you where this JSON also makes a difference. But let's say if I click save, run this hook again, hit here, and get me name, Manish, phone number is this, right? Another way to respond to these hooks, one of the really strong and really important thing is called redirect. If I click on redirect, I can put a website URL over here. So I'll say growstacks.com, HTTPS, colon, and this. Now I click save on this, and let's click save one more time. Now, whenever I'm going to hit this particular webhook, despite I have any parameters and all, it is going to hit my n8n, and at the same time, it is going to redirect me immediately to Growstacks web. Enter over here and see what happens. It takes me to what happened when this webhook got triggered. It got me whatever data it wanted to send to this particular hook. But at the same time, as a response to this hook, I said redirect this person to Growstacks website, right? So over here, I did not went to growstacks.com. I simply went to this particular hook. And when I hit enter, it redirected me in response to this website. Now, how we solved that particular use case, which I'm talking, that QR code and the multiple locations and all. What we did, we configured one single webhook like this, where we have, let's say, payment receipt or something kind of a hook over here, right? Maybe I'll say store QR. So this is my hook over here. And what I said, whenever someone send a particular request to it, I want this webhook, that particular URL should also carry the location name. Let's say location A, B, C, D, E, F, whatever it was. The location name should come, and that should be stored on my particular table, or maybe some sort of a Google Sheet. So for example, if I go back, let me try to add a module in middle that's called Google Sheets, append or update a sheet raw. Let's go to connections, and maybe I'll just add something on the same sheet raw itself. I'll say QR log store location. I'll say location dash A, location dash B, location dash C, and so on. Let's say for now, we'll just carry on this much. And here I can put location QR URL. And over here, we are going to put this with a question mark. I'll say location is equal to A. And here I'll say QR scan count. Format to table. This all looks good. This is our entire thing. And see here, what we did, we said there are 3 locations in my store. That's called location ABC. I created the same webhook, but with 3 different parameters at the last. So these things, whenever I'm going to scan this, they are going to be delivered on that particular hook along with this location tagging as well. So it says location equal to location A, B, and C, right? Now what I can do, fairly straight, I can create 3 QR codes over here, QR code creator, and something like this. Let's say free QR code generator over here. I'll go and simply post my first location link, put your link, name your QR code, location A, customize and download, and good. Here we are with our QR code that is called QR code number 1 or QR code number A, right? Let's go back and try to create one more QR code, which is about location B. Put your link over here. So I'll say location B, and this one I'll say location dash B, and that's it. Create QR code, fairly straightforward. B also got in. And now create a new one over here. We'll go and say location C, and this time location C is this, and download. Perfect. See here. Now, what I did actually, I created 3 different QR codes, which is nothing but QR code A, B, and C. And you can take a look over here. Let me make it as icons of gallery would do a better job. Let's see. Yeah, okay. See here. So A, B, and C, these are 3 QR codes that I have in my system. Now, what I can do, I'll simply say, if I go to n8n, let me try to scan one of the QR codes and try to showcase you. Just bear with me. I think it'll be a little difficult for you to understand at this quick version, but QR log. Let's disconnect this first part. Click save to this. I just wanted to send a quick hook response, and then it is going to get me. See guys, so I got this first webhook response over here using response mode. I'll say immediately. Let's click save and let's try one more time. So here I said location A, and see it says workflow was started, and I would have received one of the trigger over here with the location input. Please watch it very, very carefully. See here, when we send this, we got location A as our input from the webhook URL, right? It simply targeted us the location A and one of the parameter as location A. It's a common URL all across. Now, since I got this data over here, I'll say copy to editor, and let's take it into our actual automation workflow and simply connecting this one, right? Now I'll say, can you go ahead and please search me which particular location this person is talking about? And I want to add one counter whenever someone scan this QR code, or whenever someone is keep on like adding more and more counts to it. So I'll say on this particular inbound webhook, I have a parameter called location, and that become location A. So here I'll say store location is my matching column. Store location is coming from hook is something like this. And then the overall QR scan count supposed to increase by 1 every time, right? So I'll say, first of all, let's go and search from the sheet whether this location is already exist and how much is the count already happened. And second is whatever count already happened, based on that, add one more value, add one more count to it, right? So see here, first we are adding this get raw in the Google sheet. Over here, we'll say QR log. On this sheet 2 is our main sheet. Filter, where we say if the store location being sent from the webhook is equal to this, only then get me the data of that particular line, right? We are trying to get the count of this. So see here, we got store location A, URL is this. Currently QR scan count is total 0. It's blank. Now, based upon this, I'm going to say which row to append. So over here, we'll say based upon a store location, or maybe based upon a particular raw number, we can have which line or which particular thing has to be updated. So I'll go with manual update. This way, we'll say what is the store matching? Store location is the match. And over here, I'll say simply bring in this QR code scan part. Let's go here. We'll have to apply one formula called if empty. Okay, one more time. Let's quickly, in 5 minutes, run through the entire use case. So what I did is we used a normal webhook functionality where we said we wanted to redirect someone whenever they scan a QR code. We want to redirect that, or maybe whenever they hit our webhook URL, we wanted to redirect them to a particular URL. It can be anything. When I say this URL, it can be Growwstacks website, it can be Google, YouTube, or maybe specific URLs, whatever you want. It can be anything of that. And when we have webhooks over here, webhook got a functionality called respond. And how do you want to respond? So do you want to respond immediately with a default message? Do you want to respond when the whole workflow will get over and you'll say, okay, workflow was successfully executed? Or you want to respond with something called, there is a node, there is a module, respond to webhook. And it got multiple options over there. At the same time, in case you want to define some real-time streaming nodes, they can also stream data in response to this webhook. I never used it, not sure where it gets actually being used, but we'll explore that later on. But over here, there's something called respond to webhook node. Now, this gives us control. If someone is sending us a request, how do we want to handle and say them whatever we want in response to this particular inbound API call? So what we did, we applied a respond to webhook node, and we said we wanted to simply redirect this person or whoever is sending us a request to this given URL, right? And there can be plenty more options over here. So we can give them a response code, which is 200, 400, how we get in terms of API calls. Whenever you make an API call, you generally see 400 as an error, 200 as successful API call, and so on. And we can even send some sort of headers to this. But essentially for now, this is more than good. We are simply putting a webhook, a normal website URL. Now in middle of this, what we said, we have we have multiple locations, maybe city ABC, and I want to see how many people, I'm doing a marketing campaign by the way, for example, how many people are scanning my QR code from city A and landing to my website? How many people from city B are scanning QR code and landing to this website? Now, there are multiple ways to do it. First is I can create specific pages on my website where I say growstacks.com dash location A, and this becomes a page which I can embed behind the QR code. While I'm creating the QR code, I can embed this, and whoever scan that QR code of location A will land on this particular page. But in this case, I'll have to replicate this page those many times, right? So there is city A, B, C, D, E, F. And if I make any simple change on this page, maybe we say we help, I say we support your business. In that case, I'll have to make changes on all those pages, whatever number of pages I created. So making changes on the website doesn't make sense. What is second option? Why not to create dynamic QR codes with the help of webhooks and webhook capture data and redirect everyone to this particular normal single website. My whole idea was to capture where they are coming from. So what I did, I created these kind of specific webhook URL along with a particular variable. So see here, the first part of this entire URL is this, which says until this point, webhook slash store QR. And then I put in a parameter over here, which says question mark location is equal to location A, location B, location C, and so on. So now in this case, if I'm going to embed this particular value behind my QR code, then whenever someone scan this QR code, I'm going to get the whole hit on this particular webhook URL, and I'll also get this value as one of the parameter, right? So you saw here, if we are getting values over here, it is getting us query parameter as location A, something like this, right? Now, simply, I created multiple QR codes like this, A, B, C, D, E, F, using a normal QR generator. So over here is the QR generator. If I go and paste it, it can simply help me create this particular QR code for location A, right? So my website did not require to make any changes. It's simple, this particular QR code carry my location ID or my particular location tag. Now, whenever someone hit this particular QR, is going to trigger this automation workflow and will get me that location number or whatever location name is there. Then what I would do, I simply created a small database over here where I said location A has these many count, location B has these many counts, and so on. So what I did, first of all, if I'm getting my location query over here or location parameter, I said first of all, search which location or which particular value is coming in from here. So I simply said, here is my sheet called QR log, sheet number 2, column which I want to filter is something called location, store location, and the value that is coming in from here, which is called location A, I can simply drop in here, right? Now, based on this, it is going to give me what is the raw number, store location, like column A, B, C, D, all these values. And from here, I said on this QR scan count, help me add count one more. So if it was already 5, this should become 6. If it is already 6, this should become 7, and so on. So here I said append or update a raw. I use this particular one, or I could simply go with update a raw over here. And then it says, okay, map manually. This is fine. Okay, wait 1 second. Append update was the right one. This is fine. And over here I said, based upon the store location, go here and on the column C, the QR code scan count with this value, QR scan count, add one more, +1, right? So over here, if it was coming as 5, it will become total 6. If it is 6, it will become 7, and so on. So it's simple formula. You can drag and drop this part. So over here, this one, and then within this, I'll say +1. So this becomes as a result 1. If it is coming 0, it will become 1. It'll becoming 1, it'll become 2, and so on. We don't want to change URL. We don't want to change this location as such. So I simply say, based upon this location tag ABCD, get me the values and update this particular column, right? And then finally, once these two things are done, my database operation is done. I wanted to reply this hook towards or redirect this hook towards my actual website. So this entire thing happens almost in milliseconds The other person even doesn't realize they scanned actually a webhook URL, not my webhook, not my website URL, right? And over here, all of their things are getting started coming in. It's hardly 3 milliseconds or hardly 1 second. See here, it's that fast. Within a second, it can quickly redirect. And this is also happening because we are using Google Sheet module. If I would be using the table inside n8n, this would have been super fast, right? So that's how this whole string is working. Let's do this one more time. If I go and let's see if it is still working. So we have 524. If I go back to my camera, scan the QR code B, open. So this became total 8 now. It was 524. This became 824. Maybe a couple of more people would have scanned it. So I hope you got the sense of how we can utilize this particular n8n functionality where we are going to work with the specific webhook data. Now, I have one more good thing to showcase you how this can be extended to one more step. For example, let's go and let me try to showcase you one more project we have done, and that was a little about something called a discount offering, and that too using this kind of a QR stuff. Okay, let me try showcase you something little more good. You all know Bolt, right? The vibe coding stuff.
Yes.
Okay, great. Let me try to showcase you one of the example for a custom coded vibe coded application, a basic one, and then we'll go on a little higher advanced thing. So let's add a quick prompting guide. And here I'll say, help me create a good looking landing page where it says whenever someone lands on this web page, it should be able to capture their IP address and in response of and should be able to send that IP address to a dedicated QR code. And once you send the response, you send the QR code, you send the IP address on the webhook, it is going to give you a short response into JSON format, the total count of that this is your visit number one and so on. So help me build. Okay, I'll have to type in a short prompt. Help me create a short landing page with dynamic elements. And when someone visit, track their IP address and send it to the following webhook. Once you receive the webhook reply in following JSON format, show them on the web page, visiting us for end time, etc. So here I say webhook URL, and here we go with maybe one more thing over here. So I'll create one more webhook into this system, add another trigger, webhook call. This is my production thing. So all here, and let's simply configure this. Reply JSON will be something like this. Visit count is equal to 10, right? And I can associate one quick design guide to it so it can create some good looking page. And let's see a quick vibe coding stuff. So I said send whenever someone is going to visit this particular landing page, send their IP address to this particular webhook, and then I will reply that how many times this person already visited us on our website, right? The whole response is going to be into a dynamic animated way on the web page that you are visiting us for this many time. And obviously, we'll get to see one more, a little advanced example, how we can control discounts, special offers for someone who's visiting a particular page or particular product multiple times. And based upon their urgency, we can show them some sort of a countdown timer or maybe some sort of a special discount for that person or any custom message, right? So let's have a quick look on this. Now, by the time it's working, I would like to quickly build the backend infrastructure. So what I said, I wanted to track IP address of this person and will do a counting of how many times he visited us, right? So let's get back here. And here we say, this is our webhook, which is going to track the visitor IP addresses, right? Something like this. Let's rename, and this is supposed to get things. Now, along with this, what n8n got, see here, when we were working last time, we used Google Sheet over here. But n8n recently got another release where they shown or they took out something called n8n data tables. And data table can work as a native database, obviously small, simple database, not a very complex or relational database as such, a basic database tables inside n8n environment itself, right? So you don't have to depend upon Google or these kind of things. Why we are going to use that? Two important benefits. Number one, if we are making Google or these kind of databases use, they add additional delay or lag towards the entire process. So I have to make this API call, I have to make this API call, and then Google is going to respond me the particular values from the database or from the tables. If I'm using native n8n things, it'll be way faster than this. So what I'll do, I'll go back to my main stuff on n8n, and here I'll say, why not to create a table inside n8n. So see here, everyone who's looking at this, on the home or overview section, we have create workflow. All alongside this, there is something called create data tables. Right, so I can click on this, or I can move to this data table. It's into beta version, and here I can have my tables created. So I'll go create data table. I'll give it web visitor count, click create. A very simple, very straightforward thing. Let's add a column which is called IP address, which is going to be a string. And all alongside this, I can also add visit count, okay, is a number. And I could even add a few more things. Here I can say, why not to track their city and state as well. So city is going to be a string all along here, state, and one more thing about country, right? Done. So I created a small n8n table which has IP address, visit count, city, state, and country, right? Now, how to use this table inside my automation workflow? So I'll go here and I'll say simply type in table, and you will see something called data tables over here. So it is equivalent to data store inside make.com. So I'll go data table, and here we get to see multiple things. So delete raw, get raw, if exist, does not exist, insert, update, and so on. So I'll say first of all, get a raw. And even before that, I would like to test whether this IP address part is working or not, whether we're getting that value or not. So let's click save, and let's get back to our vibe coding thing. What happened over there? Perfect. See here, it says welcome back, unable to track visit. This looks pretty decent. Let me make it publish, and let's see if it sent any webhook trigger or not. Anyways, like I already one time landed on this, so it's supposed to have sent at least one request. Okay, no, not yet. That's fine. Currently it is publishing this. Done. It is published. Let's go to this page. Whoa, not yet. Unable to track. It's weird. Why it is not sending me the request on my hook? Oh, okay. One thing, super important. See, in case of n8n, that generally happens. By default, all these hooks have method called get method. And when you configure them into any of these application, you should be changing this to post method. So if I do post, let's click save. And now let's try to run this one more time. It's supposed to send me. It's none time. You're visiting us for nth time, because obviously there was no nothing there, like no data exists for that particular person. But see what would have happened over here. This second webhook got triggered, and this webhook got us a value of this person's IP address. Okay. Oof. No ways. It's not there. None in body. It's a normal webhook URL. Okay. Strange. It is not sending the visitor IP address to webhook. Ensure the webhook payload goes in the line structure. Oh, so sometime you may have to define things like this. I'll say IP dash address. When you're working with this whole vibe coding thing, you have to have this more specific instructions. Currently, we just did like ad hoc basis. So that's there. But let's see how it goes. Okay. And as soon as we get this webhook payload over here, we can simply configure this with the help of our data table. And now we'll be able to start things. Okay, as soon as IP addresses are getting in, we should be able to count them, compare them, and values will start floating through. Okay, not yet. And let me update the code. Okay, this is fine. IP address supposed to be sent like this. It all look gimmicky, but essentially, see, once you understand these, see here, IP address started coming in with the small fix, right? So now it says IP dash address, and here's the IP address. Now what I can do, I'll simply copy this whole data or this particular payload into my system as a pin data. And over here, we'll say table as a data table. I'll say get raw. Now how to get raw? So essentially, we are going to compare the IP address of the inbound person. So I'll say, see here, ID number, not ID number, IP address is equal to or supposed to be this particular IP over here, right? Depend upon IP exists or does not exist, and so on. Now, since we tried, why not to have, let's say, city, state, or these kind of information as well, we can add one more API call like a HTTP. And here I say this HTTP is going to get me the IP addresses of sorry, location information of anyone. So IP address, city finder, API for free. I'm just trying to build a hypothetical solution here, right? It says ipapi.com. That's there. See, sign up, documentation, demo, all good. API documentation goes here. I think this even doesn't require you to put anything on the system. Okay, perfect. See here. So it says if you can put this kind of a API request, I'll simply say copy this entire API request over here, and then it can simply get me the location of this person, or let's say uh, more information about this person. Let's execute the previous node. Currently, I'm in the city called Indore, Madhya Pradesh. So where we have a back office. So I'm just putting this whole location thing over here and see what happens. Let's execute. Okay, see here. One more important aspect of n8n. Sorry, I forgot actually earlier. So what happened? It's getting triggered from this node until this node, but this is not giving any output. It says no output return because there is no IP address already exist. In these cases, you should always go to setting and there is something called always return output data. Even though it's blank, that's fine, right? So you're not depending upon like if there is nothing coming out from this particular node, it should not move forward. It should always move forward even though with the empty output. So if I run this now, let's see what happens. It got triggered 1, 2, 3. All of these three things are happened. And it says Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh, all of these things are coming out with the Bharti Airtel network and everything. Now, what I'll say, based on this, go back to the table and do either upsert or insert a new line or update a new row, right? So I'll say go with upsert, and upsert is going to help me add a new, let's say, line or new thing altogether into my table there, right? So let's go with this. Let's go and try to pick up the IP address from here. Based upon this, if record does not exist, simply add IP address, add the visit count, which is supposed to be coming from here. If it does not exist, simply put 1. If it exists, then we are going to add new things over there. Now, rest over here, we have something called city, we have state, we have country as well, right? So country goes over here as India as the country, right? State supposed to be this kind of a state, the full name. Now, let me try to run this one more time and let's see how it goes. Perfect. This time we should be getting it everything like this. Okay, perfect. So visit count, let me try one thing. In case of visit count, we should always be careful. If there is nothing coming out, it's empty, then add function doesn't work. So if I go and put value over here and I'll say +1, see what happens. Currently says 2 because one value is already coming. But if it is blank, then it will not have any value, not even 0. So in that case, it's going to be failed. So what I can do instead of this, I'll say, first of all, I'm going to put a function called ifEmpty. And within this ifEmpty, I'll put it if my previous visit count is empty, then simply give me 0. And on top of it, okay, this is fine. On top of it, add 1, right? So if it is empty, nothing is coming out of this visit count, then make it 0 and then add 1. Or if it is coming out something from previous one, let's say 1 is there, make it 2, right? So that's there. This is how a quick, simple workflow is being created. And at last, on the response of this particular webhook, I'm going to say, first of all, over here, respond this webhook based upon a particular node. And as I said, this response should supposed to go and hit my web application, which I created on Bolt, right? So over here, I'll say reply this into a JSON format. How the JSON is going to be structured? See here, I said it earlier, I'm going to reply you JSON as visit count is equal to 10, 15, 11, and so on. So let's get back here. And my visit count supposed to be same thing. Let's say upsert raw visit count is 1. Whatsoever I have here, I'll simply put like this. And let's give it a quick try. Prabhat, I'll take your question in 1 minute. Let's just finish it. So if I go back onto this page and if I run this, see what happens. Oh, unable to track your visits. Let's see whether it failed, it passed. Supposed to update over here. No. Okay, there is an error coming in and my screen also frozen. Okay, Prabhat, by the time you can please ask your question. It's actually frozen now. Something bad actually. This JSON was not structured properly, the outbound JSON. So what it did, it's supposed to be Control X. It was supposed to be here. It was just moving out of this. Perfect. Okay, let's click save one more time. Let's go back and try to refresh this. See here. So you are visiting us for the first time. If I hit and see what would have happened on our data table. So if I go to data table, I can refresh it, and I'm supposed to getting one entry over here, Virginia. Okay, this was being accessed by the Bolt system. Let's remove it. Oh, strange. Why it's keep on getting multiple times? Maybe a load glitch or something. Done. See here. So we got this IP address, visit count one, and so on. Now, if I refresh it one more time, it says you are visiting us for the first time. Why first time? No, there's supposed to be something wrong over here. Uh-oh, I just put in this counter over here. And guys, 1 second, let me fix this formula as well. Copy to editor. These are small things. While you do live development, this always happens. This is fine. Observe raw. This is all okay. It's all good. It's weird why it's behaving like this. Sorry, couple of mismappings happened, but see here. So we had to pick up the IP address. We had to pick up this formula over here instead of the previous one. And let's click save. Sometime if you are working like pretty fast, it simply downtrack things. It's first time. It's supposed to say second time, again. Okay, by the time, how many of you understood this whole concept or any question from anyone? This is fine. See, it says visit count is total 3 and response to hook supposed to be visit count 3. Okay, so it's supposed to respond with visit count is equal to 3. Why it is sending all the time 1 only? Maybe one more vibe coding prompt over here. Here it says it's third time. Was it published? Okay, perfect. See here. Now I think I published this application one more time and it started coming in. So why don't you guys try this particular URL now and let's see how it goes for you. A quick extension to this. For example, if I say I have one product to be placed on this website and based upon your visit count, right? For example, you're visiting it for fifth time or 10th time and you're looking whether this product is going to come for a discount or not or something like this. So if it was supposed to be a product website and they wanted to track you how many times you're visiting based upon your count of visit, they wanted to offer you some sort of a discount. So in those cases, those discount or those offers, things can be very much personalized just based upon your visit, right? So for example, if I go beyond and I'll say, help me place product image and price of, let's say, $999. Help me place a product image of, so there is a good product called Aura Ring, right? Aura Ring, which is something tracks like a smartwatch kind of a thing, or maybe image of smartwatch. Let's try this watch and price is 999. Based on the user visit, I will send you the discount percentage. So you will have to show them after discount value with saying that you are whatever it's called, loyal user to our brand and we are offering you a good discount, right? Now along with this, I want to reply the countdown value for discount to be valid and user supposed to take the deal before the countdown goes off, right? Then change the value back to original. Right? My response, my JSON, or let's say Webhook JSON response will be in the following way. So here I'll say a couple of things and maybe one more stuff. So here I'll say, first of all, discount percentage, let's say 50% or maybe just 50. Second is countdown timer seconds. This will be, let's say, 30 seconds. And here a special message, something like this. Text goes here, right? And hit enter. It may require some iteration, don't worry about that, but let's see how it goes. So what I said, now this will become a smartwatch landing page, which has a price of $999. And based upon the visit number of counts of the visitor, I'm going to offer them a specific discount with a countdown timer and with a special message as well, right? So let's see. It's getting updated things. By the time, let's go back to our n8n automation workflow. And here I say, this was all good. Like how many times you're visiting, this, that, all fine. But what I wanted to do along with this, I want to add one more, let's say, kind of a route or kind of a formula where I'll say, if someone is visiting less than 3 times, don't offer them any discount. If someone is visiting more than 3 but less than 6 times, offer them 20% discount. Someone is visiting more than 6 times, offer them 50% discount, something like this, right? And even mention name of their location, mention something, let's say special about them or so on, and offer them a deal with a countdown timer for like 20% discount is going to be 60-second. For 50% discount, it's supposed to be only 30-second kind of countdown, right? So my page is going to absorb those values and will run through these systems. So see here, it gotten to this point, and now it anyway says visit 4, it's all fine. Now I'll go back and say, instead of sending this normal visit count, I'll go back and I'll try to send this basic stuff to the system. See here, let's by default, first time, let's see how this comes out and whether it even offer a discount or the basic functionalities of that page or not. So let's try and refresh this. Uh-oh, my bad. Refresh this particular page and let's see how it goes. Sorry, one more thing. So over here, what it says, the JSON supposed to be into this kind of a format, which is all okay. Let's click save. Let's try one more time over here itself. I'll copy this. Okay, see here. It actually I missed one variable and hence it simply escaped. So I did not have to rerun this. It actually is still counting this visit count as such. I did not send a visit count. See here. So it says exclusive 50% discount expires in 15 seconds and so on. And message visit 10 text goes here. So I could have like placed it better. 499.50 loyal customer for this pricing. And if it goes back again back to 999, done. Now what I can do, we can have multiple variations of this. So I'll say flow, and within the flow, we can have multiple routes to it. So we can say switch, and based upon the count of our previous visits, for example, let's say count is already 15 or 10 or something like that, then it's supposed to run through multiple different sequences. So first I'll say, if it is equal to, in case of numbers, I'll say greater than 3 visits, it's supposed to go on a particular route, which says 20% discount, right? And obviously some sort of a timer as well, 60 seconds. Then there can be another rule which says if it is supposed to be greater than 5, where's the number? Number is greater than is total 5. Then it may say 50% discount and only for 30 seconds. And I may say if it is more than 7 times, for example, it may give you 90% discount only for 10 seconds, right? So here we'll go back. I'll simply pick this and greater than, I'll say 7 times, right? So these are going to be 3 routes, 50, 30, 50, 20, and whatever. I can simply duplicate this part one time and one more time over here, and then we can plug it to this and we can plug it to this. So over here, I'll change it, go back to this percentage of 20 and 60% here. Hey, we have a special offer for people in, let's say, this city of Bhopal at this point, right? So let's copy this entire thing. So 60-second, 20%, and visit count obviously not supposed to be 10. It should have been visit count coming from here, right? So this is what we have structured. I hope this is clear. Otherwise, we'll run it again, a quick run through, but let's try to make it, right? In this case, I wanted to say percentage is going to be 50%, time comes to 30 seconds only. And on the third case, I'll say this percentage goes to 90% and time comes to only 10 seconds and so on. And let's click save. Now, what I can do, I'm going to remove this entire table. So I'll say delete everything. I don't want to have any data over here. Everything is cleaned. And let me even publish this, update domain. It will anyways run through for this bolt scenario itself, or when bolt is going to publish, it will reload. So at least first value come from bolt itself. Let's try and check in this table. Yeah, see here. Oh, Noida, Uttar Pradesh. Not sure who's this. Visit count is 2. Oh,
Yeah, no, it's working.
bad. Okay. Why so? Because I did not consider, I said greater than. It's supposed to be like less than or something, and then it's supposed to respond directly without any discounts. So guys, you'll have to toggle this like maybe a couple of times before you get a response, or there's supposed to be one more route which also cater less than 3 as well. So currently we don't have anything for less than 3. So here I'll say, oh, not convert to add one more routing, and this is supposed to say this much, where it says this is less than 3 over here. And this can be less than 3, right? Something like this. And this is being added over here with percent discount is equal to 0, timer is equal to 0, and we have a special offer. We have no special offer for people. Or, okay, let's do one thing. For now, let's make it equal to. So as soon as you hit any particular thing, let's say equal to 3, equal to 7, and so on, right? So for now, once we put this whole formula, we'll have to put more and more time. But essentially, less than equal to 3 is going to be, let's say over here also is equal to something like this. So let's say 3, then we have, oh, wait, is equal to 5. Then we have is equal to 7. Then we have is equal to, or not equal to, it should be less than 3, right? That's it. So now in these specific cases, if I remove this entire table data one more time, you just have to hit the URL, nothing more. So let's do this. So for example, let me try this from here. First time I'm not getting anything. See, it says we have no special discount for people in Bhopal, this country or this city. Second hit, nothing. The third hit, now I'm getting on 3 or exact 3, 20% discount for 60 seconds. Then let's hit fourth time.
It will error.
It'll error because we haven't considered that. Fifth time, it says 90% discount for only 10 seconds. I think something got changed. Visit number 7. I'm not sure how it get to visit number 7, but not supposed to be that. But yeah, essentially it is something like this, right? Based upon conditions, we can run it through in a better way. Okay. I hope guys you got it. Like we can build these kind of things using Webhook. That's the whole idea. And webhooks can be very, very powerful while we're working with n8n or with these kind of workflow builder. And since Webhook can handle multiple data responses, not just JSON, but even binary file format, even let's say some sort of incoming file format, which can directly go back into a JSON thing and all. Tokens can be passed through. We can redirect. We can do any text thing. So multiple stuff are available over here. So let's say here we have something. Get is fine. I'll copy this. And here is my webhook. And at this point, I'll say response to a webhook and just text part, right? Text goes here. We'll see how it goes. Over here, we'll go and say not immediately using the node, right? That's done. And let's click save. Now, in this case, if you're trying to trigger this webhook from any normal browser-based window, it can also return that person's maybe HTML code or some sort of things can be parsed. Let me try to show you this. Let's go to Claude and ask it to create a good landing page. Hey, can you help me create a custom HTML landing page saying thank you to the visitor. Follow this design guideline. I got a good design guideline, so let me quickly put it here. Done. And it's supposed to get me some sort of quick design structure. The whole idea I'm trying to showcase you is how we can reply to Webhook with a custom HTML code as well. And that's going to be rendered on your browser. So essentially, you don't need a landing page as such, right? Or maybe any sort of domain or something. This can work like your own landing page. And even you can have more and more actions configured within the landing page itself. So vibe coding can also be passed through, like no need of hosting or something. It can work like a straightforward stuff. Let me show you this. So a landing page came here. Let us see. Fine. So for example, let's say this is something over here. I'll simply copy this. What is getting copied? Only the HTML code, or I can just toggle this to HTML. And here I can copy this entire HTML. And now what I'm supposed to do, I'll say this webhook, whenever someone hits this, is going to respond a text. And text obviously is getting a HTML code, right? So I simply copied and pasted everything over here. You see this long HTML code is being pasted, what we got from our Claude, right? Now, if I hit this hook, I'll go to production, I'll go to this, click save. And over here, I'll say, let's enter this, see what happens. So without me having any web page or something, I got this whole web page. This could have been something different. Maybe I could create a form. Maybe I could create a couple of choices here and I'll say, okay, select this, select this, select this. Or it can be a normal form itself. Anything can be done. But see here, this good looking landing page came out from nowhere just as a response of the webhook, right? And I will say, okay, contribute to my journey, continue my journey. Click on this. It says thank you and so on. So like HTMLs can be rendered, your responses, your redirection, everything is possible. You just think of it and you can build systems on top of it. Maybe I'll try to give you one more, a little better use case. I wanted to create a landing page for warranty claim registration. Let me build that in HTML format, or product warranty checker. Okay, this is fine. That's one thing is good. So now, whatever landing page you saw here, in this case, it will simply respond with a warranty claim form, which can be filled. And that form itself can have one more webhook behind the scene. Someone clicks on that, other webhook can trigger and capture the information. So your web designs, your portals can come in live from nowhere without any hosting, without any extra effort here and there. And we literally built a complete warranty management platform out of this only webhook functionality without building any landing page, without building anything here and there. It was all built upon custom forms within those landing page, a warranty checker with a database kept inside make.com data store, right? So let's say one more thing. Let's try this. For example, I have one more webhook over here. So what I'm trying to do, this webhook will land a page and will say warranty registration claim or something like this. Now, on top of it, when this is done, I'll set another trigger, which is going to be a webhook itself. Here is my webhook URL. I'll say get, this is fine. And this will, okay. So over here, I'll rename it warranty registration page, or maybe claim registration page, something like this. And this I'll name it as claim info, right? Something like this. And now the particular thing which I created over here, it says warranty claim registration page, which has all of these requirements over here: full name, email, phone number, product name, and everything. When I fill this, I'll say send the output of the form to the following webhook. Okay, by the time, let me quickly copy the entire code of this first one. So instead of that thank you page or flower note or something, I simply pasted the thing over here. Now I'll go back, I'll copy this link, and I'll say click save. Let's go back here, hit enter. My entire warranty registration platform came like this, right? From nowhere. I did not do any vibe coding. It's just working with this n8n Webhook, right? Just a custom thing being landed over here. Now, what I said after this, I asked it, can you please update and whatever the person is submitting over here on this page, this information should be sent to this another webhook, right? So I can even collect the form responses from there. So what let's try this 1 second. This is not useful. Let me try the n8n whatever. Okay, perfect. It's already here. So let's copy this entire code. Sorry guys, it may be a little boring, but let's see. So let's rerun this. I tried one more time. Everything is configured over here. Now I'll say my name is, let's say, Manish. Email address is growwstacks.com, 971 Product name is, let's say, washing machine. Serial number is this. Date of purchase maybe is this. In past, place of purchase maybe Mumbai. Category issue is software issue. Not starting at all. Maybe any photos I want to upload, that's fine. Let me try to put a photo as well. See, it's working like a proper page, right? That's the amazing thing. Now I'll say submit warranty claim, send me updates, everything. I'll hit save. And what happens? There are error submitting claim, please try contact support. Okay, why there is an error? But what ideally supposed to be done was, it should come here on the second webhook, on the webhook which I created. So all the information will be captured by the second webhook in a very straightforward way. Okay, I think it's here. Let me try this. No. People are still hitting the previous one. Guys, their offer is gone. Okay, give me 1 sec. Why it's behaving like this? Weird. Okay, n8n. See here, I provided the second URL, but somehow it is, oh, it's a post call. Bad. Instead of get, it's supposed to be post. And let's click save. Let's click save here. Let's go back, try to submit this. See here, I submitted, your claim has been successfully submitted. Claim ID is here. And now let's see, let's go back on this execution side. And over here, we would have received all the claim information on this one. See, this got updated over here. And now what is being sent? The full name of the person, email, phone number, product name, serial number, purchase date, place, category, not starting, term condition, true, everything is good. And even if I added any file, it says there is a file also associated. It's called a screenshot of this file, size is this, and so on. So it's a binary format of the file. So that's how we can have all of these structures coming out, and even applications can be built out from nowhere, right? Literally from nowhere, you can build your own applications just using Webhook and this kind of advanced functionality.